and I'm spent. Hi guys, and welcome to another ASMR video. And I thought I would talk to you today about 35mm cameras. And as you can see, I've managed to get one. I bought this rather cheap from eBay. This is, a good old-fashioned 35mm camera, and as you can see, there you go. No memory cards or nothing in this bad boy. You actually have to put the film in here and connect it to there, and then you're away. Now this is the Praktica BX20. We didn't have many of these actually in the camera shop where I used to work. It's funny, but as you can see, this one has a 50mm or 50mm 1.8 lens. The MC stands for multi-coated, which is why you see, if you look, you get all these wonderful colours in it. There you go. Yeah. Which also comes off, so you can change them the same. There is the actual lens itself, and there is the inside of the camera. As you can see there, that's the mirror, and there is the actual viewfinder there. This here, which you can probably hear, is the self-timer. So that'll give you round about 60 or 30 seconds, and then it would make the camera just go off after that amount of time. We can now put the lens back on and have a look at the I might not have to move this too much actually, but here is the shutter speeds. These are the shutter speeds. As you can see, you have auto, which will give you automatic shutter speeds, but this has B, which stands for bulb, which means as long as you've got your finger on the shutter release button, it will keep the shutter open, so it's a very good thing. And if you can look carefully there, here in the hole is like a screw thread, and you could get it was a thing that screwed in, and you had like a button on the other end of a wire, and when you push the button it kept this open, so it made it a lot easier. As I said, some of the good cameras went up to like 30 seconds, they could keep the shutter open, but this one's got 1 second as the actual longest that you can have it open. It then goes to like half a second, fourth of a second, 1/8 of a second, 1/15 of a second, 30th of a second, 60th, 125, 250, 500 and 1000. Now what you've also got to see is here is the film ISO, which I'm going to be using. My favourite, which was, as you can see, this is on 100. I always like to use 200 which is what I will be using on there, and also here, which is the f-stops right here. And what they do is allow light to come in. There you go. And as you can see, 16, which is completely closed. 11.8, 5.6. 5.6 is sort of half, letting in half the amount of light, all the way up to 1.8, which lets in complete light. It completely opens the iris inside, a bit like an eye. If you look at it like an eyeball, you know, if it gets dark, your eye opens more. It's exactly the same with a camera. Right now, guys, what I'm going to do is show you some of the differences when you actually take photos with these. One, you can't see how they're going to come out, which is kind of exciting. But first of all, different types of film. Now, as I said, I preferred 200 ISO, which is what I'm going to be using for most of this, but I'm also going to use a 1600 ISO. Now that's a very, very, very fast film, and if you look at these pictures, this was taken with 1600 ISO, and as you can see, the grain is absolutely disgusting. Very, very, very grainy indeed, as you can see there. And also here with my posters, you can see it's a very, very heavy grain. But then if you look at this picture, this is 200 ISO, and you can see much less grain. But things like speed, for example, you know, if you want to take something moving really quickly, then you do need a faster film. But as you can see, it does get much grainier the faster the film you use. Also, to show you the difference and all with the actual like shutter speeds, which is these here. Remember, the slower the shutter speed, the more light comes in. The faster the shutter speed, the more or less light actually gets captured. So if you look at this was captured at 1,000th of a second, and as you can see, it's very, very dark indeed. This one was 125 of a second, which is a little bit better, but not quite there, because it was a very, very dull, dark, rainy day. But then the one I'm going to show you now was captured with 1/15th of a second, and as you can see, it's a lot better. So that one was pretty much perfect. But then I took one on, I actually used bulb and kept the shutter open, which, you know, as you can see from this picture, it is completely now overexposed. I also opened up the f-stop to 1.8. So remember, you have to get everything correct. And then finally, I decided to try and take as perfect a picture as I could, something that would look almost identical to where it actually looked looks. So I took this one. This one was the first one I took of my living room, which actually looks pretty good, I have to say. But I then messed about a little bit with the shutter speeds and everything else, and the f-stops, and I think we finally came, or I finally came to I think it was an eighth of a second. 1/8 of a second seemed to be the perfect shutter speed with a 200 ISO setting. So yeah, that's when it seemed to come out properly at exactly how it kind of looks likewise. And also in here I took one of this, the old Dark Side of the Moon poster, and this was pretty much a similar sort of thing. So it seemed to be sort of 1/8 of a second indoors, and that seemed to give me the exact right. Oh, thank you for flashing up. And that seemed to give me the correct, exposure and everything lighting looked absolutely fine. So yeah, I mean, but these, this is, the shutter speeds we have here. And it's really great to sort of mess around with them, and it's really brilliant to mess about with them. So yeah, I mean, I had great fun. I couldn't go out and take anything because it has just literally been pouring down with rain here, guys. It hasn't stopped raining, literally. So, I'm hoping maybe I could show you a few more pictures at the different types of settings, but as I said, it's, now you can use a digital camera and it will tell you exactly what it looks like, and it's all automatic anyway, so it gives you everything how you want it. But to actually do it, manually, to manually set that, shutter speed and aperture, to get it the way you want to see it is absolutely fantastic. Yeah, so there you go, guys. That is the Praktica BX20. I mean, it's German. If you look in this as well, where it's made, and which will be there, made in German Democratic Republic. There you go. There it is. Yeah, so there it is. And I think, it's really cool to actually show you the results and the differences, if, depending on how you set them, depending what film you're using, what film speed, and what shutter speeds. Yes, I just remember, obviously the faster the shutter speed, the less light you're letting in. So the darker the picture is gonna be. That's the thing as well, is also with the grain, with the 1600 ISO, made it very grainy because it was giving you much faster speeds and freezing the image quicker, whereas the slower 200 was giving you a much smoother look, a much cleaner look, and you could also use a slower speeds, so made of. I don't think it's brass, but some of them were. But it's in very good condition, it's very clean, so I'm pretty happy with it. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed it, just something a little bit different. I will be back with, of course, some more eating and more creepy stories and more atmospheric sounds. Then we pause for a jet. I wonder if anyone gets that reference. Yeah, so it's been brilliant to see you all, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, give it a like, give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment, let me know what you think. You know, have you ever used these sort of cameras, these older cameras that are actually like, you know, that take proper pictures? If you have, let me know and what you think. I mean, I do love the digital cameras, I mean, there's no question about that, but it's just nice to have a bit of nostalgia. It sort of took me back a bit, you know, having this. But yeah, great days. I will be back, but in the meantime, guys, have yourselves a wonderful, 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 peaceful